Hi everyone, this video is for lesson 7, which is constructing perpendicular lines. So we're going to start this lesson by actually constructing the perpendicular bisector of a vertical line segment CD. So we're doing this first because essentially we're doing something along the lines of two lines being perpendicular, except this is the perpendicular bisector of CD. So let's start with how we do the perpendicular bisector. And remember, in order to do the perpendicular bisector, we are going to be using the endpoints. So I'm going to take my compass. I'm going to put the needle on one endpoint, which is C, and open it up more than halfway to D. Remember, if it's the perpendicular bisector, it just has to go more than halfway. It doesn't have to go the entire length. So I'm going to swing my arc above and swing my arc to the left. So to the left and to the right. And now I have to figure out where those points of intersection along the arcs are going to go. So I keep my compass the same width, flip it, put the needle on D, swing an arc that intersects to the left, as well as to the right. And now I get the perpendicular bisector by taking my straight edge. And remember, it's important to go through the arc. You don't stop. Make sure you go through. And then we could put a little arrow at the end to show that now we've constructed a perpendicular bisector. Just to reiterate, since this is the bisector, we know that this piece here from the middle, the midpoint, to C is equal from the midpoint, the point here, to D here. So we just did the perpendicular bisector. Now, again, a segment can be bisected, but a line cannot. So you just want to maybe kind of jot that down, right? A line segment can be bisected. A line cannot be bisected. Reason being is a segment has two endpoints. It ends. There's a measurement. A line goes on forever, so you can't really find the middle of a line if it goes on forever. And remember, if we did the perpendicular bisector construction, we've actually constructed perpendicular lines in a sense. They're just lines that are perpendicular through a very specific point. So what we're going to work on today is constructing a perpendicular line. So this little blurb here actually says we know how to construct the perpendicular bisector of a segment. Now we're going to figure out or investigate how to construct a perpendicular line to a specific line, line L, from a point that's not on line L. And we're going to start with this. Think about how you have used circles in constructions so far, and how you may be able to use your knowledge of the perpendicular bisector construction. So somehow we're using the perpendicular bisector construction along with circles to get perpendicular lines. Now, the first step, we're nice enough, we're telling you the first step. So we're not going to make you struggle too much. The first step, if the point is not on the line, we're going to take our compass and we're going to put the needle on A, and we're going to draw an arc so that the radius intersects line L in 2 points. All right, so here's my line L. Now, if I have to draw an arc and it intersects line L, this is not a good compass width. And the reason being is if I draw an arc, it doesn't even touch line L. So if I wanted to intersect line L, that means that I need to extend my compass past line L, as so, and draw an arc. I call it a smiley face. So we're going to kind of like smile through the line. We're going to make a little smiley face. Now, when I make that arc, it intersects. Remember, when two things intersect, we could actually put a little point there. So I'm going to figure out how I can make this a little bit. There we go. I'm going to put a point here where it intersects and here when it intersects. Don't make your points as big. Mine is that big because I do want to make it very obvious what we're doing. Okay, and now that I have the 2 points of intersection, think about it. This is technically a segment. And A is really the same distance from this point as it is this point, because these are the radii of the circle. So if I could find the middle here, and I connect A to the middle, hey, wait a second, that's actually the perpendicular bisector. So our second step is actually going to be to make the perpendicular bisector of this new segment. So to do that, we just did it for the do now. Put my needle on this point here, point of intersection. And this is why you don't want to make your points so big, because you can't really find the middle. Okay, and I'm going to now go more than halfway. I'm going to swing my arc above and below. Now wait a second. I went above, but do I really need to go above? And the answer is actually no. I don't need to swing an arc above, because above, I already know it has to go through point A. So you only really need your arc below. If there wasn't a point up here, you would need the arc above, but there is a point, so I'm going to delete that arc. I don't need an arc above if I have a point. So get rid of that. Okay, and now I need to flip my compass around, go to the other endpoint, and swing another arc. Excellent. And now I'm going to connect. I'm going to connect point A through the intersection of those arcs. Remember, we're constructing perpendicular lines here, so I'm going to put an arrow. And I'm going to put an arrow over here on this end, and perfect. So now these lines are perpendicular. You show that two things are perpendicular by putting a little box in between them. So this line here, this vertical line, is perpendicular to this horizontal line. Now, this line that's vertical does not bisect line L, right? It doesn't bisect line L, it's just perpendicular to L. Remember, lines cannot be bisected. So although we're using the perpendicular bisector construction, we're only bisecting this segment from here to here. We're not bisecting the line, okay? So we've just constructed perpendicular lines. On the next page, here are the steps to do that. So when it's not on the line, right, point A was not on the line, it's considered an external point. We started by constructing an arc whose center is the given point and intersects the given line at 2 points. So we made that little smiley face. That's what we'll say. We'll say smiley face or smile through the line. Then we put 2 points where the arc intersected the line, okay? That made a segment. So then we constructed the perpendicular bisector of that segment. However, we only needed marks on the opposite side of the point. Right? It only had to go on the opposite side of the point. And then we connected where the arcs intersect to the external point. And that made our perpendicular line. All right, let's try it again here. So I'm going to kind of take the steps away, but we gave you 2 hints. And if you can remember these 2 hints, you'll be great. So we're going to smiley face, smile through the line, and then do the perpendicular bisector. So let's start. Take our compass, and let's start by our smiley face. So needle at A, open up past L, fantastic. And it could be even closer. Oops. And let's swing a smiley face. Smile through the line. So 2 points of intersection now. So we have now, I'm going to change it to green. Put 2 points at the intersection. So here and here. Okay, so now that I have my 2 points of intersection, the next step is to do the perpendicular bisector. So I'm going to adjust my compass. Needle on 1 point, open up more than halfway. And it's okay, even if I want to use this compass width, it's fine. Even though it goes past the point, that's actually even better, right? Because it's more than halfway. And remember, I have A over here, so I only need arcs on the other side of my line. So that's only below. So here's 1 arc. Flip it around. I can't change my compass width. Go to the other endpoint, swing an arc, And now I take my straight edge and I go through the intersection through point A. It's a line, so I need to make sure I have my arrows at the end as so. Perfect. Just like that. Now they're perpendicular, so I know they're perpendicular by putting that little box. If I wanted to name this line, and how about I name this line like line M, right? I can now say that L is perpendicular to M, right? This symbol here, that upside down T, means perpendicular. So line L is perpendicular to line M. And that's a mathematical sentence. All right, so pretty straightforward. Smile through the line, perpendicular bisector. That's when the point is not on the line, right? It's called an external point. How do you think it changes if the point is on the line? And in that matter, does it change? So what if I tell you it's the same steps? We have to smile through the line and then do the perpendicular bisector. Let's think how that would kind of work. All right, so let's smile through the line. Smiley face through the line. Well, okay, so that means I have to put my center at B, okay, and then an arc. So it means I just kind of open it up any distance, okay, and then smile through the line. It has to intersect twice. Once, oh, but now it doesn't intersect over here. So some of you might be thinking, well, it's because you made your compass too wide. But actually, it doesn't matter because what I'm allowed to do is, remember, a line goes on forever. So that means I can just extend this line with my straight edge. If a line goes on forever and my arc's not touching the line, well, just extend the line. That's fine. Okay, and now I have 2 points of intersection. So it's actually perfect. I have a point of intersection here and a point of intersection here. Now I have to just do my perpendicular bisector construction. But here's the difference. Since the point is on the line, I actually need to make my arcs above and below. That's the only difference here. So I'm going to go needle on one endpoint. Okay? And at this point, you have to change the compass width because it has to be more than halfway. So I'm going to open it up to go above and below. And now this is where it can get kind of tricky. This is the first time we have arcs that intersect, but we almost have to ignore this intersection because I want arcs that intersect from the endpoint. So when I go to my other endpoint, now that's the point of intersection that I want. And above, that's the point of intersection that I want. Excellent. And then I'm going to take my straight edge and connect through the intersections with a line. And so, now if you notice, mine is a little bit off, right? And that's because over here at the end, I'm not finding the true center. So when you do these constructions and we're grading them, we will take into account error that you can't really control. Unless your pencil was super sharpened and you had a very fine arc and very fine points, it's very hard to find the exact center of a point. So we understand if you're a tad bit off. I mean, if my line was like this, that's clearly not what we're looking for. It has to actually go through B. So just like that. And now these lines are perpendicular, and I can show that by putting in my little right angle symbol. Okay, so that's how we do it when it's on the line. So here are the steps. So once again, you're constructing an arc whose center is the given point. Let me highlight here an arc. The center is the given point, and it intersects the line at 2 points. Again, you put your 2 points where the arc intersects the line. And then you construct the perpendicular bisector of that new segment. You're done. So smile through the line, perpendicular bisector. Make sure you put arrows at the end because the lines are perpendicular. So those are the two main constructions that we're going to work on. And what we have now is just two options to practice. So I'll walk through with you if you want. This would be a good time for you to practice and then watch the video. So first one is we're going to construct a perpendicular line that goes through the point on the line. So a line perpendicular to M at W. Let's start with our compass. And remember, we must smile through the line. So I go to W, open up, and I smile through the line. Feel free, if you don't want to make the complete smiley face, that's not a problem. Just make two arcs that go through the line then. Why not? Okay. Next step is where those arcs intersect the line, I must put 2 points. So a point here and a point here. Okay. That means we're now going to work to do the perpendicular bisector of that segment. So I'm going to use those endpoints, needle on one, open up more than halfway. I need arcs on both sides of the line because my point is on the line. So above and below. Okay. Flip it around, keep it the same. So move the needle to the other endpoint. One arc that intersects. And again. Fantastic. And now connect through. Perfect. It's not done until I actually put arrows at the end of my line. Now my lines are perpendicular. I can show that they're perpendicular by putting a little box. And there we go. Okay, so we did it when the point is on the line. Now let's do a line perpendicular through a point not on the line. Now, I like this question because it's a little awkward in that the line is vertical. So here's a trick that I like. You can actually take your paper right now and rotate your paper and turn your paper so that you see it like this. Now I feel like it's a little bit easier because when we smile through the line, we're used to doing it in this way. All right, so let's take our compass. And just to reiterate, since there's a point off the line, I have to make sure when I open up my compass, it goes past the line. Okay, so I could swing my smiley face. There it is. I need to put now my 2 points. So point here and a point here. Good. And now I'm going to do the perpendicular bisector of that segment. But there's a point above the line, so I only need arcs that go underneath. So more than halfway, swing an arc, flip it around, more than halfway, can't change the distance, swing an arc that intersects, finish this off by taking my straight edge and going through the intersection of the arc and my point. As so. Not done until I put arrows on the end. Done. And now the lines are perpendicular. And you can actually flip your paper back around. Let me see if I can group this all together. And turn it. So I don't know. Sometimes this gets a little funky, so I might have to undo this. See what happens. Wow, it worked nicely. There you go. And now they're perpendicular. So if you rotate your paper, it should look like this. Okay, that finishes lesson 7. How to create perpendicular lines, both given a line with a point not on the line and also a point on the line. So to summarize, we do our smile through the line, that smiley face, with the center point given as the center of the arc, and then you do 2 points where the arc intersects the line and construct a perpendicular bisector between those 2 endpoints. If you have any questions with this lesson, feel free to email us or reach out through the Google Classroom.